Hi, I know I haven't made a video in quite some time. I believe my last one was my tattoos and piercings video. But this is a more serious topic I wanted to talk about, and that is mental health. I have a lot of mental health issues. Sorry, I'm gonna say a lot because I'm just winging it with this video, and it's early in the morning where I'm at right now. So the one I've had the longest is my anxiety / depression. It's kind of a 2-in-1 thing for me. Don't know why, but like just sometimes out of nowhere I'll get depressed and then I get anxiety because I'm depressed, and then it's what sucks is that one is genetic. Like I was born with it, so I can't help it. And it runs on my mom's side of the family, so most likely my children will have it, because I mean it hasn't skipped a generation yet, so because my grandma has it, my aunt has it, my mom has it, I have it, and we're all on medication for it. And I can't really say much about that one because I mean most people understand anxiety and depression. Please be patient with those people who do suffer from it, because sometimes they can't help it, like me. Like, it just comes and goes. Yeah. The next one is PTSD. If you don't know what that stands for, it stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. I grew up in an abusive home. I was mentally and emotionally abused by my father. I was pretty much traumatized when I was probably 8 or 9, when I saw what my dad was really like. He was abusive to my mom, and I had to witness him beat her one time. It was traumatic, and I was the only one that got up and tried to help, and the other people around me were like 30, 40 years old, so yeah. And then I had another traumatic moment where my dad was choking my mom while she was going to the bathroom, and she yelled for me to call the police, and I did, and there was a storm coming, and I kept getting cut off. Like the first time I called, I didn't even get to give them my address. I got cut off because of the storm. The second time I was able to give them my address, but then it cut off when they said, please stay on the line until police show up. And then the police showed up, and I witnessed my dad get arrested. And what sucked that night is he got pepper sprayed, and for people who've never dealt with pepper spray, even if you didn't get pepper sprayed, it sucks because it stays in the building, like the area that it was sprayed in, for like 24 hours, because me, my mom, and my brother, we all slept together the rest of that summer. Like, we slept in my mom's bed, huge bed. Like, good thing it was a huge bed. And that night we just were coughing up a storm. I'm surprised we didn't cough up blood with how dry our throats were because of it. Anyway, but yeah, I was court-ordered therapy because of that. They felt for my mental health, it would be best if I got therapy for it, and I was in therapy for probably 4 years for it. I'm not on any medication for it. I have coping mechanisms for it, so I got that pretty much under control. I still have triggers, though, that people don't understand. Like when somebody tries to discipline an animal and I see them hit them, that triggers me. Even though I know it's for discipline, it just triggers me. And that's what sucks. I get triggered so easily. But I mean, it's a good thing I have coping mechanisms. Sorry, my nose was itchy. Get some coffee. Let's see, I've talked about anxiety, depression, PTSD. The next thing I have is epilepsy. And for people who don't, if you don't know what that is, it means I have seizures. And seizures are where a certain part of the brain pretty much spazzes out, and you pass. For me, it's I pass out and I convulse. I like go stiff and like how my brother describes it. He's seen the most of them. How he describes it is I'm stiff and I twitch and I make weird noises and I drool a bit. They come out of nowhere. Like, I've seen 3 or 4 different neurologists, brain doctors, for it. I've gotten pretty much every test possible done to see what could cause them, and nothing shows up on the tests. So we don't know what causes it, and what I hated about the first doctor I saw who diagnosed me with it is that he just gave me a random diagnosis. He's just like, well, I know you have seizures, but we don't know what causes them, so I'm just gonna give you this. Like, literally, that's what he said. And this was 10 years ago. So I've been epileptic for 10 years. Actually, June 16th, 2020 marked 10 years since my first seizure. I'm on medication for it. I'm on 2 different types of medication for it. Pretty much got it under control. I think the most seizures I've had in a year since being on it is 3. So, thumbs up on that. And yeah, let's hope something gets figured out for that, because I'm sick and tired of not knowing what causes it. The final thing I'm on for mental health is I have a psychosis disorder. I don't remember what it is, but you know how people always say, oh, that little voice in my head told me this. Well, I have multiple voices in my head. It is chaotic. I can tell you that much. I don't know if it's like I have multiple personality. I don't know if it's schizophrenia. I don't know what it is, because I forget if the doctor told me exactly what it is or not, but I'm on medication for it. But it got pretty bad. Like, for years I was just going with the, oh, it's just that little voice in my head telling me what to do. And I've made pretty bad decisions because of the little voice in my head, but voices, I should say, because there's multiple. But the worst is, it happened last November, so November 2019. Just out of nowhere, when I was taking a shower, a voice in my head said, take your razor and cut yourself. Like, take the razor part out and cut yourself. Like, it scared my family enough where they hid all sharp objects from me. I tried to go about my day the next day, but there was still that voice in the back of my head saying, do it, do it, do it. And I don't know what caused this to happen. I really don't. Because I've never had suicidal thoughts before. I've never wanted to commit suicide or anything, so I don't know where this came from. But I got through my day the best I could. I called my mom, and she left work early to be with me and to make sure I was okay, because I watch kids for a living. I run an in-home daycare. And all the sharp objects were hidden still, so no worries. But it was terrifying, and I was scared for everyone around me, including me. So I willingly admitted myself to a psych ward, and I stayed there for a whole weekend. Well, that's how long I stayed, until they released me. They thought I was good to go after a weekend. But I went to all the therapy sessions provided by the psych ward. I have a bunch of self-development books that I read and still read. I keep buying more and more. And that's what helps me, is self-development books. Helps keep me on track and everything. And I'm also on medication for this, and I'm in therapy for it. And I'm learning as I go with this. The voices still occasionally pop up. I haven't had a suicide one since then, thank God. But I still have voices in the back of my head saying like, oh, you don't need to do this. Oh, you don't need to do that. Go do this. Go do that. You need this. Like, it'll be in the back of my head no matter what. And when people say, oh, that little voice in the back of my head said this, and I'm just like, oh, you have no idea what it's like to have voices in the back of your head, probably. Like, when people use that expression, I'm just like, do you really understand what it's like to have voices in the back of your head? So those are all of my mental health issues, and I just wanted to put it out there that even though some of us out there have mental health issues, we're still people. We don't need any special kind of treatment from anybody. We just want to feel normal. And I know there's really no such thing as normal, but we want to feel as normal as possible. Like, we don't want to be treated, at least personally, I don't want to be treated any differently. I've lost friends because of my issues. I've gained friends because of my issues. Like, you find out who your true friends are when you have mental health issues. So if any of you have any questions for me, feel free to leave them down below. I'll be more than happy to answer the best that I can. I hope you guys have a wonderful time in your life, and I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye.